So we are here today to hear from our credible and knowledgeable speaker, Ms. Sunanda Gundavchala from Dispatch Track, who would help us understand how we can navigate our career advancement and imbibe some of the leadership qualities required for the same. So today's agenda is, so let me walk you through this agenda today. We will understand more about the Pune Women's Engagement Initiative, and then we will meet the core team. We will hear from Sunanda ma'am, then on navigating career advancement and leadership and how she embraces security. Then we would like to hear your suggestions and take questions towards the end of the session. Please also feel free to drop your questions in the chat window during the session. And we will conclude today's session with a vote of thanks. So let's understand what is Women Empowerment Initiative. So worldwide, women are underrepresented at all levels of decision making. There are various reasons for less participation, as you see. So Empower Women in Project Management was an initiative announced by the PMI Women Engagement Committee, that is PMI which is a collaboration of all PMI chapters from India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. This initiative is focused on understanding the challenges of women members in project management and supporting them in identifying and exploring their maximum potential to achieve their goals. And this initiative also aims at designing programs that promote a culture of inclusion and engagement and help women navigate careers in their chosen profession and volunteering PMI. So our mission is to promote a culture of inclusion and engagement in women membership, motivate and encourage women volunteers, and actively contribute to the project management community through different chapter events and activities, and also provide a platform for women to share their knowledge and experience and value add to their other fellow members. So let's meet the Region 11 core committee. And as you see, Sangeeta Kanse from PMI Pune board member, PMI Pune board chapter is a member of the R11 women core team. Uh, this is this is our Pune Women's League core team. Here you can see, along with Sangeeta Kanse, some known faces. Uh, just excuse me for a second. There is some disturbance from my end. Okay, sorry for that. So this is our Women's League core team. Here you can see, along with Sangeeta Kanse, some known faces like Pradnya, Kirti, Anuradha, Dipti, Kaustubh, Priyanka, Archana, Jaideep, and myself, who are contributing towards the PMI Pune Women's League. All right. Post this detailed introduction, let's get started with today's session. Uh, yeah, so in the last month, we had this International Women's Day celebration. In the spirit of embracing equity, Deccan India chapter's Pune Women's League hosted a successful event to celebrate the International Women's Day with women and student participants. The purpose of the event was to connect, collaborate, and contribute, which was achieved with interactive, energetic, and highly self-motivated, inspiring women leaders of the industry. More than 45 attendees participated in various activities and sessions like the importance of IWD theme, that is International Women's Day theme, Embrace Equity, which was explained by Priyanka. Then a very interesting activity, SDG planning activity was held by Anuradha. Then personal goal setting activity was held by Kirti. So there was a very good and this whole event was appreciated by the participants. And they also got the networking opportunity, and many of them were interested in PMI chapter membership, certification, and overall it was a very successful event. So these are the glimpses of our event. Okay, so now today's session. So it is my privilege today to welcome Sunanda Gundavjala from Dispatch Track for this exclusive event. Sunanda brings over 3 decades of experience in process reengineering, product development, and people management across verticals. She comes with the experience of defining and improving business processes and systems for various functions and building new capabilities. As a member of the board of directors and the head of operations, Sunanda drives HR, market research, and finance strategy for Dispatch Track India operations, which also includes nurturing and developing people towards a winning culture that is built on transparency, trust, and collaboration. She shoulders an additional responsibility of monitoring and managing Dispatch Track India's governance and compliance with the local statutory and regulatory bodies. Sunanda holds a master degree in business management and bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. She is a certified project management professional and disciplined agile senior scrum master, and has been a consultant to many clients in addition to training professionals in the area of project management and program management in their earlier stints. Sunanda also volunteers for non-profit organization for hearing impaired on project strategies, and has been a long-standing volunteer with the local chapter of PMI Pearl City chapter Hyderabad, leading projects for social good. She holds the recognition of excellence for Volunteer Leader of the Year Global Award for PMI for her volunteer contribution. As a joint secretary of the Alumni Association, Sunanda is spearheading multiple initiatives for her undergrad school, uh, that is Chemical Engineering Department of Osmania University, in addition to mentoring the students. She is also the industry representative on the board of studies for the management program at Osmania University College for Women. She has co-authored multiple books on topics of project management and business ethics, and published articles in multiple journals. We had an interesting activity during IWD, so uh, like I would like to hand over to Sunanda ma'am to share her insights on navigating career advancement and leadership. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rupali, for those glowing words about me. And I would firstly want to thank the PMI Pune chapter for this wonderful initiative, the Women's League that they are doing. I know it is an entire South Asia region of the overall umbrella or the theme about the women empowerment under which they are doing this. So very appreciable, and I see the activities that you have already done for the Women's Day, as well as when I saw the website, a lot of interesting activities that probably I think you can do it as a collaborative effort with all the chapters as well. Great initiative. Kudos to you all, the team that is there on the Women's League at Pune.
Part over there is
And thank you, Jaideep, for asking me to speak on sharing my experiences and talking about how we can navigate the career growth and leadership, rising to the leadership level for project managers. So let me start sharing the presentation so that you know about how we can have the navigating the career. I hope all of you can see the presentation and are able to hear me.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So the way I would like to go about is I want to first start with some reality check on what is the current status of women in project management. Rupali has given a brief idea about it. And then I want to talk about what is women empowerment, and then move on to the core topics of career growth and leadership, referring to some of the aspects of my journey on how I have grown, so that you will be able to relate. Again, each individual's journey is different, so I'm not saying that this is the only recipe for growing, and there are multiple people that you can look at. So let me get right into the topic for today. Uh, if we really look at the ratio of men and women in project management, it is still 1 against 3 men in project management. So the other way to look at it is in the early career, in the early stages when people are joining workforce, we see that it is almost like equal participation. There are good number of people that are joining the workforce, women into the IT area or the non-IT. Now, compared to what it was when I did my engineering, there are a lot more engineers in the field and really willing to grow. But where is it that this disconnect is actually happening? I think that is where we need to understand and see what can be done with respect to that. But the good news, I would say, is by the end of 2030, PMI says that we need 25 million new project professionals. So that's very exciting and encouraging because there is so much more need. And having said that, on a positive note, I would like to point out that when we look at not at the global level, come down to our region, South Asia region, I think things are not really very bright at this point because there are only 15% of women as against 84% in the project management roles. I think this is an area where we should bring in a lot more change. And I think the initiative that has been taken up by the South Asia region on women empowerment will surely bring about a change. And the Pune chapter that is specifically conducting these programs will help the women to grow into project management leadership roles. Now, again, the other positive point that you can see from the PMI report, the 2023 report on project management, it shows that if you're looking at, a slightly more management roles, there are more or less similar percentage of men and women who are taking up either the PMO, the director, portfolio manager, or any of those management roles. And we also see that women are embracing agile technologies and the latest cutting edge technologies like AI and then cloud technologies compared to men, which is, I think, a very good sign. And definitely the power skills. The power skills are something that I think are very innate for women, and that is really helping them grow in project management. Now, before I proceed further, I would like to know from you all what you think is women empowerment in project management. If you could put it in the chat box, I would like to understand what your views are on the women empowerment.
Should we unmute and speak?
You can put it in the chat box,
Okay?
and maybe Rupali or someone can just, summarize what is coming in, because I'm not able to see the chat.
I can see the chat, so I'll take that.
Sure. Thank you.
So I'm just going to go ahead and read as and how the comments are coming in. Ability to
Please.
express and execute opinions without fear. Then we have more opportunities to handle challenging assignments.
Fantastic.
I guess we still have the participants typing in. So unbiased inclusion. Right to have access to resource and opportunities. Inclusive diversity and equality.
Yeah.
Ability of effective communication skills.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think things are on the right track. We'll continue on the presentation and then we can relook at the chat because we have a limited time right now. So I would like to talk about the different facets that are there in women empowerment in the project management arena. So when we talk about women empowerment, what are the things that we need to work on? So I see the comments that are there in the chat box about being fearless, having the ability to speak, inclusivity. These are all the things that mean to you when you talk about empowering women in the project management. To empower women, what are the things that we need to do? We need to make sure that there are opportunities for career development and then ability for them to grow as leaders. And the disparity between the genders is something that has to be bridged. In addition to that, while we are focusing on all these things and growing into the leadership levels, I think one key aspect that we have to focus and remember is the work-life balance. And the very important aspect that is essential for women to be empowered is having a mentor and the ability and access to networking opportunities. And I think women helping women is something that is going to be really critical and essential for us to grow together as a tribe of project managers, helping each other and lifting each other as we grow. That's the way that we can grow in any area, not just project management. So today's in this session, I would want to focus more on the two aspects of career development and leadership development. Now, when we talk about career development, what are the things that we have to look at? Definitely, it is about the goals. How do we plan our career? What do we need to do? How do we set the short-term goals and long-term goals? And I see that you have already had a session on goal setting, so I'm definitely not going to go into the deeper, the tactical things about how to do all these things because there are a lot of other things that I want to cover and talk about also my journey and then look at the overall career development and growth, what is needed. So goal setting or having goals for yourself is something that is really going to help you. And a learning mindset is something that is very critical and very important because things are now changing at a much more rapid pace than ever. And unless you have that hunger to learn and then reinvent yourself, you are going to be left behind, whichever the industry that you are working in. And this age, it's not like you're just focused on one industry. There is a collaboration between different functions and then different domains and industries. So it is very important that you have to have this learning mindset and the ability to seek opportunities because nothing is handed to you on a platter. You have to go and then seek the different opportunities that are there, take the initiative, and then start working on things so that you can plan your overall career. And another very important aspect is risk seeking and risk taking mindset. So I think most of you in the project management space know the importance of risk and what happens if you're risk averse and what happens if you're risk seeking and how do you handle all these things. But if you have to grow, you have to take that risk and then only you're able to have the growth. Again, I would like to emphasize that work-life balance is important. When we are talking about women empowerment, it is not that we are switching from one end of the pendulum to the other end of the pendulum and then saying that, oh, this is the only thing. You need to understand how to prioritize and then get a balance. And when we talk about work-life balance, it is different to different people. So you have to define your own goals for your career development, keeping in consideration all these different aspects. So I want to give you a little more actionable uh, path on how we go about in career development. I'm sure the audience has a mix in terms of the experience levels. So this is just a standard growth path that I'm talking about. So when you start your journey in any of the industry, it could be IT, it could be manufacturing, or it could be healthcare, any of the domains or industries that you have started your career with, because project management is not just IT, it is important in every industry. So in the early stage of your career, let's say about 3 years of career, I would say start focusing on your domain. What is it that you're working on? If you're a programmer, make sure you understand what is programming all about, the language that you're doing, while keeping in sight the overall software development process. Now, if you're in any other manufacturing domain or a healthcare, look at what it means to you. Now, when I talk about myself, being a chemical engineer, I started as a process engineer, a chemical engineer in a process industry, which manufactures Teflon. Probably you know the word Teflon, though it's a brand name. Uh, so I started my career there. And in fact, talking about equity and then the gender disparity, uh, I was the only women engineer that was hired. And one question that I was asked is, you have to go work in the factory. Can you do it? And you may have to work in shifts. Is that possible? So that is where there was a challenge. And I said yes, because I did my chemical engineering. I definitely want to, prove myself as a chemical engineering. I mean, all of us have worked hard. It's not easy to get into an engineering and then the domain that you wanted to work in. So I did work in that area for almost 8 years. And that is when I learned about the whole process industry. And I also wanted to make sure that I get exposure. So I was involved in different functions within the organization. So I sought the opportunities, and whatever also came across to me, I took the risk and I said, let me try it out rather than saying this is not what I want to do. So I was exposed to the process industry in terms of understanding the overall process, troubleshooting, and then working in the projects department, doing MIS reporting. I'm talking about 3 decades back. So I started off a paper-based kind of a work where we would have talk about MIS. I'm looking at paper-based calculations and all that. So that is how the reason I'm giving you this is so that you understand that it is important that you know about your domain and then start getting a feel about where is it that you want to explore, what are the things that you want to do and you are inclined towards. So in this early stage of career, I would strongly advise join some project management communities. If you are inclined towards that, you feel that you have the aptitude or you like what is happening around. So the important part here is to look out for what is going on in the overall project. Don't focus on just your portion of the work. Look at the whole cycle, which will give you the wider perspective. So once you join these communities, you will have the ability to network like you are able to do here or online also. Now there are so many groups that you can join and then you can start understanding what it means. Now, when you're moving into that next level of role, whatever is your role, that is when you should start planning for some certifications. Now, certifications, you can go depending on what is your area of interest. It could be PMP, it could be Agile, it could be Scrum, any of those things that you want to take. Now, before you do that, now there is a possibility to explore. There are a lot of free certification programs, and PMI offers micro credentials. So you can test the waters and see what is it that you are inclined to and what works for you. And then go into the certification, like whatever you have chosen. So, and this is the time frame where you also need to look for opportunities to shadow your lead or the project manager. You can actively go seek the opportunity. Say that you're interested. Is there something that I can help you? I'm sure managers are all already, quite burdened. They would always be happy to have some extra hands helping them. And that's a great way in your organization to uh, get the exposure to what it is to be a project manager or the area that you're looking at. Start understanding what's going on, help them with the reports, help them to facilitate. And the other very good opportunity that I would want to talk about is your PMI chapters. The PMI network and the chapters that are there are a wonderful resource where you get the opportunity to volunteer. And while volunteering, you are able to understand, you're able to learn what it means to lead an initiative. So you don't need to really have a title or be a manager as a manager title, but you can always take up some initiative and then you can hone your leadership skills. And because now you're part of this chapter or the local body, any online community, you are getting the chance to show your leadership qualities and then be part of it and lead these things. In fact, I would say leading as a volunteer is much, much more difficult because you are leading without authority. In an organization, I have a title, and with that title, probably I can get some things done. But when you're part of a chapter, you are working with volunteers. And it is all about your influence, the kind of power skills that we are talking about that will help you understand. And like I said, it's an opportunity for you to network. And for me, when I moved into the IT industry, so after my stint in the process industry, my two kids were born, and I said, I need some flexibility. And I also want to look at growth. And IT was picking up at that point. So I'm talking about the 2000 timeframe. Some of you, I don't know even if you have heard the Y2K. So that was the time when I moved into IT. I joined a product company as a functional specialist or a domain specialist. Now, having the understanding of a process industry, the organization was developing an ERP. So they wanted to have an expert who would know the process industry and define the requirements. And that is how I moved into IT and then started working on as a domain specialist, a business analyst, and then moved into project management. And I did my certification in 2004. And I joined the Hyderabad chapter in 2004. which is why I'm called the long-standing volunteer from the PMI Pearl City chapter. And I continue to volunteer there. And I would say I have so many friends from the PMI community. In fact, uh, some of them, I think I see Suma, I see Sita, and there are a lot more people who are my friends. And I want to talk about a few of them also. When we talk about, you know, people who are making a difference and impact, you don't need to really look at, you know, some people who are up there that you feel you cannot really reach. Way back, you would look at some national or international level leaders and say that, oh, these are like great women that maybe I need to aspire to be like them, which would seem a little unrealistic for us. But now we have people in our own community, in our own network. And that is where, again, I have some very good friends, like I said. I would also want to talk about Dr. Deepa Bhide. She is a doctor, a physician who moved into project management. And I would say she is an example of how you can pivot in your career. She has embraced project management so much, being a doctor. Now she is like the expert in healthcare. So you Google healthcare and then project management, I'm sure on the top 5 or so, you will get Dr. Deepa Bhide. So she is obsessed with project management. So you can look at people like that who are in this kind of an arena and then making an impact. See, what it means to be a leader is not just the title, it is about the influence and impact that you are having in the space that you have chosen. Now, Sita Mahalakshmi, some of you may know, she is also she was a board member of the Hyderabad chapter, and she is one of the pioneers in the product management arena. And there is so much to learn. She has made so much difference when she was a volunteer leader in the chapter. So I have close association with all of them. And Nagini, another board member. So I'm talking about 2010 timeframe when we started working on a student leadership competency building initiative. So we started together, and there is so much I can really do. Look at her and say how she has grown in her career also. She was a vice president one time. And the kind of roles that women are taking and growing is phenomenal. Nagini is now like an agile coach and then a keynote speaker. So you don't need to really look at elsewhere. It is within the chapter, within your own chapter, there are so many leaders that you can look at and aspire to be like them or have them as role models, and you can learn a lot from them. So 2004, I did my certification, I volunteered, and then I contributed to the practicing standard for scheduling. And a few years later, I decided to take a career break. I wanted to spend a little more time with my children as they were in the growing stage. But I continued to network and stay connected with the community, which really helped me a lot. During this time, I pursued my interest and passion on training, project management, consulting, and I have learned a lot from each of the people. Like we call it the ABC, the academia, the business, and the community or the government. So I worked in all these regions, different sectors. I worked with the academia, presented papers on the Industry Academy Connect and how and why we can make a difference. I spoke at IIT Delhi on the same thing, and Hyderabad chapter, we connected with JNTU on this, and then we started an initiative there. So the reason I'm talking about all these things is there are opportunities. There are opportunities for you to grow. It is not necessarily that it has to be a straightforward path. So I took a break. I worked on these things. I consulted. I worked with government organizations like National Institute of Rural Development And then I also worked with STPI, then Engineering Staff College. So in fact, I also developed content for their project management course at NIRD. So it's all about what are your priorities and how you want to make a difference to the community. Now, for me, what worked was my ability to pivot, make changes as needed. But one strong anchor that I always had was the project management community and the network that I built when I was interacting with all these different people across different sectors. So I was training on business analysis, project management, both national and international students. So I really love doing the training part because that is the way that you learn a lot more when you share knowledge. And in addition to that, I was, like Rupali has mentioned, my alma mater, University College of Technology. I worked on the alumni committee and as a joint secretary, led a project to revamp the whole laboratories that were there in the college. I mean, these are the areas where you can show your leadership skills. So when we're talking about leaders, it is not just this. And while I was doing these trainings, I also learned from some of my students or the people, the professionals that I helped in their training. One person that I would really want to mention is Neha Agarwal, who is visually challenged. I learned the resilience and then the never say die, let's just go and do it kind of an attitude from her. And she is the inspiration behind the project management book, The Basics of Project Management, that we came up with from Hyderabad chapter. And that was converted to Braille, launched by the vice president in the PMI conference earlier. So there is an opportunity for us to learn from each interaction and every person that we interact with. So we, again, with Deepa Bhide, who was part of the ethics committee, we did a translation of ethics work also. We translated into Telugu, and I think it was also translated to Marathi. She was working on that project. So while we are working on these projects, we also developed so many different friends. That is where I say the networking is something that is important. While this is a kind of a career path that you can aspire to be, you can also think about a not so straightforward path like I did. In fact, I would say I was focused on having my priorities and work-life balance, where I think it was important for me at, like I said, took a break. And then I also joined a regular college, writing the entrance exam with the rest of the people, joined an MBA, which in Telangana University, now that it is called. Earlier, it was the University College for Women, where I did my MBA. What did I learn from there? Because by then I had a good amount of experience. So it was not more about actually learning the subject, but it was more about, understanding what was happening actually in the academia. And it was like a reverse engineering, what experience I had, attributing it back to the theories that are there in the management. Did it help me? Yes, of course it did. What did I learn from the students? So the people who taught me were probably uh, about the age of my experience at that point of time. And my classmates were almost a little older than my eldest son. But I really had fun, I would say. It was probably some people will think it is crazy, but I did it because I wanted to do that. And I learned, one, not to take myself too seriously. And I also had the advantage to understand my children much better and the education system that is there currently. There's so much of difference. So I would kind of tell them, like, no, that's not how you do. But then being there and understanding what is happening gave me a different perspective. I think that is also very important. And we are able to empathize and understand with the current generation what is going on. And that is how I decided that I have to give back. And I have been, a strong believer that it is important to give back to the society. And that is where I work with NGOs. And then I'm now a part of the same Telangana University as a board of studies member. I continue to go and then mentor the students there. My own undergrad alumni, I mentored the students that are there. And there is so much learning that we get when we are doing these mentoring, whether it is women or children, students. I'm very passionate about making a difference in their lives. And that's one of the reasons why I jumped at this opportunity, because this is something that is very close to my heart. So that is where I'm saying we have the need to identify the priorities, and we have to define the non-negotiables. Like I see, if you can see in the picture, I'm not saying we should be a superhuman or superwoman try kind of a thing where we are trying to do everything. Define what's important for you. And as a project manager or an aspiring project manager, talk to your family, talk to your people at work, tell them what you can and what you cannot do. And one key skill that we all need to work on is saying no. If that's not something that's important for you or you think it is not possible, we need to draw the boundary and say that that is not what you want to do. And have allies. Like I said, all these people that I referred to, of course, there are a lot more in the PMI Hyderabad chapter that I have close connections with. They have helped me in more than one way. It's not just about the profession. We are such good friends that we also share about our personal challenges and then seek help from each other. They have my back covered, and I do the same for them. So you develop a lot of good friends, and then it's like, we make sure that we have that allies who are supporting you, and they are the ones that will guide you, mentor you, or nudge you in the right direction. You might be thinking that, you know, maybe, oh, Sunanda doesn't have a mother-in-law. She doesn't have a sister-in-law. She doesn't have problems. Maybe she has, done in a very smooth way. No, of course not. I have my mother-in-law. We all stay together. I have sisters-in-law. Well, in India, you don't get married to a person. You get married into a family. So when you are married, you have all these things coming in. So that's where your project management comes into picture, and you should, apply the stakeholder management. Seek support. Ask them to be part of your journey. Tell them what you want to do. Ask them how they can support you and how you can support them. Set expectations. So all the things that we talk about in project management for clients and then team members, collaborators, it's the same thing. You have to work with your family as well. Talk to them about what is important for you, how you can help, and how they can support you. And I say that my family has been a support for me. And it was not easy, but we have to make things work slowly, and we will come to a balance somewhere. And it is always fine tuning. It is not like things are all written in stone and then things have started moving smoothly. It doesn't happen for anyone. Reality is that things keep changing. So you have to keep fine tuning. So the earlier PMI process groups, the monitoring and control is something that you have to look at, because you have to continuously, refine what is going on at home front. Now, one other thing that I want to talk about is removing guilt. Most of us as women, we think that we have to be superhumans and trying to do everything. So while we are focusing on work, if we are thinking about our career growth and professional development, we have that niggling doubt that, hey, am I, neglecting my family? Am I neglecting my children? No, not at all. You have worked hard. You have really worked so very hard to get into whatever career that you have chosen to be. It's definitely not easy. I know how hard it is. And after marriage, it becomes harder for many of them because there are other priorities that come into it. That is where I think you need to have a discussion with all the stakeholders that are involved and set your boundaries. No need to have guilt about what you're doing. It's important for you to, make sure that you have your own time to spend, chill, be with friends. It's not something that you need to be guilty about. We have outings, and again, I would say the life stage at which you are will define your priorities and then the way that you want to take the journey. But it has to be your journey, your priorities. No need to really think about, what people are doing or how they are looking at. That's not something that you need to worry about. So this is a critical aspect that I want to focus on. And now moving on to the leadership development. Again, like I have been talking about, leadership development does not mean just the title. Title is also important for sure. Yes, if that is what you're looking at, you can work towards the title as well. But what is more important is the influence and the impact that you are making in the space that you have chosen. Some people would want to do it in their work arena. They want to focus there. So sure, go ahead and do that if that is what excites you. For you to become a leader, what is really important is to be a good communicator. That's important to articulate what are your aspirations, what do you want to do, and how do you collaborate with the rest of the teams and across the teams. And the reason I specifically put communication there is, while as part of the PMI talent triangle, you have this, there is communication that is so critical more than ever now when we move into a virtual way of working. Though now people, all of us are trying to come back into a hybrid mode of working, it is still critical. You can never over communicate. That is something that I have realized because there are a lot of assumptions that people make. It is important for us to make sure that we are continuing to communicate for you to grow as a leader. And you have to have that ability to be vulnerable. Like I said, we as women, we undermine ourselves. That is something that we have to let go. So the PMI talent triangle, which talks about the ways of working, now organizations are moving towards different approaches. So it's important for you, if you have to grow, that you are familiar with all the different ways of working. It could be agile, it could be hybrid, whatever it is, you have to become an expert in that. You need to know what's going on so that you become strong in that area. Because as a project manager, your primary role or importance is handling the projects effectively. So when we talked about the women empowerment, many of you have come up with having the ability to take decisions, leading teams. So that is where your ways of working helps you have that strength and the confidence that you will have to take a strong uh, you know decision and say that this is the way forward. You can be assertive there. Now, the power skills or the leadership aspect is where you have your collaboration, your influencing skills, the negotiation skills that are really critical. So when we talk about these power skills, as we have seen earlier in the report from PMI, inherently women have the ability for these power skills. We have kind of grown to do that because right from a young age, we had to use our power skills. If we had to get something, it was about how we influence, how do we make sure that we collaborate with people. So I think that comes very naturally for us, having empathy, because as project managers, I think it's really important that we understand the team. The emotional quotient is so much more important, and that's where women have a stronghold. We can empathize with people, understand what's happening, and build the relationships. That's very, very important for you. Now, a business acumen, uh, if you want to focus on becoming a leader, that is the important skill that you should build. You need to know the big picture. Like I said, in a process industry, when I worked, I made sure that I had the opportunity and also the exposure to all these things. When I moved into the IT and then I started working in the project management arena, I sought the opportunities. I worked in resource management, and then that was the time when we were setting up the PMO. So I was instrumental in defining the whole project management processes, the templates that are needed to work on it, and setting up the tools that are needed, defining the ways of working, so to say, for the whole project management center of excellence. I also got this opportunity where we were moving into training and development, and I used that to define the content. So that's where I picked up on how to develop content, how to structure the whole training programs, what is a course curriculum. So these are all the things that helped me. Did I use them? Yes. When I took the break and then I moved into consulting and training, this has really helped me to, become an expert in that training space, to know what it means, to understand the different things. And I also worked on organizational design. I was, we were setting up a new unit, the pre-sale department in the company. And I sat down and then I worked with the US counterpart, and I defined all the processes that are needed for the pre-sale department, hired the whole team, and then set up the team so that they can start working on it. And this exposure or this kind of an opportunity, because I went and then I was okay to take that risk. Is it directly related to project management? Not the kind of career path that I showed you, but yes, it did help me to grow, because now when I'm talking about heading the India operations for Dispatch Track, the org design part is so much more helpful, because now I'm using that experience in setting up new units and then ensuring that the processes are in place. My experience in process improvement in the process industry, the business process reengineering, working on certifications for the organization, all these things have helped. The reason I'm talking about this is you need to get a breadth of experience. There is so much that you can use. Don't narrow it if you want to grow into a leadership role. You need to be able to understand the whole gamut of the organization. That is when the the core industry that you are working in, what's happening, how does it matter, what are the challenges that are there for the industry, and especially for those that are in IT, I think it's more important because the change is so very rapid. So this is how you can grow into the leadership roles. And before we move into the next thing, I want to talk about what can hamper your growth. What could be the hurdles that you may face? Not having a plan or not knowing where to go. Dream big. Dream big so that you can aspire to be where you want to be. Why do you want to have a black and white dreams? Have in full HD so that you know, like, this is where I want to be, this is what I want to do. And don't have self-limiting beliefs. The one thing that is a challenge for women, most of us, we think we are, less important, or we can not do as much as the rest of the people are doing. And we do not take risks. I think that is where we are limiting ourselves. We don't want to move out of the comfort zone. And there are so many biases that are there in the organization, not just as an organization. It could be an unconscious bias or a conscious bias that is there in the organization that limits us. I will not take too much time on these biases that are there, but I talked about the self-limiting beliefs. I think the picture is self-explanatory. This is from Lenin. So as women, the inherent feeling is that we are, when the word woman, people think, oh, she's nice, she's kind, she's likable. So if you're trying to be assertive, that goes against you. And as part of a performance bias, even if both the man and the women are doing really well, the women are considered a little lower. We put stronger criteria to evaluate women that makes it difficult. It's not others, we ourselves, because I have had experience where, when there was a role open in the organization and we asked both the people to apply for it, we would see that a man who had only about 60% of the qualifications that are needed, they would come and apply for that position. Whereas a girl who was there, she had almost 80%, but because she didn't have the 20%, she said, oh, maybe I'm not really there. I cannot do it. So that is where we are having self-limiting beliefs and undermining ourselves, which we should avoid. Maternal bias, I think some of you may have experienced in your career. As soon as you are thinking about, you become a mother or you're on the way to become mother, people start saying, oh, she can't take this critical project, or it's hard, she cannot focus, so we look for somebody else. I think that is where we need to have our voice. We need to cover each other's back and then bring that up and say that, hey, why don't we ask them? Why don't we give a chance? And similarly, the attribution bias, we always think that this is the way things have to be done, and we attribute. This is linked to the performance bias. So we have these things which you have to be mindful about. And affinity bias is we navigate towards people who are like us. Now that's where we lose out on the diversity and we lose out on learning a lot more. That is why you should expand your space into, interacting with different people of different perspectives. That is the knowledge and then the joy that you get when you are working in communities, because you get exposure to all these things. Intersectionality, as the name says, is a cross of multiple biases that are there. So now what is it that you can do as a call to action at this point? The actions that are needed for growth, start putting a goal for yourself, depending on, again, the career stage that you are in and then the life stage that you are in, so that you know what you are signing up for. What do you want to do? If you're in the early stages, you're thinking of getting into the project management roles, start volunteering, go network with people, join the communities, already I think I have spoken a lot about the way that it is going to help you in terms of your career, because it is your network, your community that is going to refer you, help you, guide you in getting into that position in your career as well. And that has really helped me too. Start off with some micro certifications, the micro credentials that the PMI offers, or the other certificates that are there on LinkedIn, Udemy, whatever. Now there are a plethora of options for you to test out before you actually want to get into that specific role. Take higher roles. If you are working in a team, like I already said, talk to your manager, ask them if you can shadow them or help them out in some of those things, because that's a hands-on experience. Or in your chapter, in your community, ask for some leadership roles. Take ownership of an initiative that you're passionate about. Lead it all the way. Have a role model. The reason earlier there weren't so many women in the leadership levels is because of lack of a role model. Now, most of us, your own moms are probably, they have done so much and they're already a role model to you, as well as within your own circle. It could be your cousins, it could be your aunts, it could be friends. In the workplace, you see a lot of women who are growing, whom you can relate to. Like I said, it need not be somebody on a pedestal. In our time, we said, oh my God, Indira Gandhi is a great leader, is what we were taught. But not all of us can become Indira Gandhi, nor do we want to be Indira Gandhi. It depends on what our aspiration is. Seek a mentor. A mentor is somebody who can really help you, coach you, and then guide you. And this regret minimization framework is something that is really a helpful tool. There is also a short video we'll be playing. So what it says is, I think most of you know Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder. Simply put, regret minimization is whatever action you want to take, think about it in a way that if, let's say, I look at my 80-year-old self or 70-year-old self, would I regret not having tried this one and failing, or would I regret more about having tried and failed? I think that's a very simple and beautiful thing to do. Even if you have failed, I think you will have a lot of stories to tell your grandchildren when you're 80. So that's very important. Take that initiative, take that risk, try it out. It doesn't hurt. Worst case, you will fail. It is better to, fail having tried rather than not having tried at all. And I would say I have learned so much by having taken these kind of risks and trying out different areas which are at this point falling in place. I loved writing. So when I took the break, I did a lot of writing. I wrote for blogs. Like I said, project management books. I wrote a book on business ethics. I was also developing case studies for ICFI on project management. So that was my passion. I could do that, right? And there is so much more that you can do instead of not trying. Can I or can I not is a question that all of us have. But I think it is worth saying, why don't I try? So that is where I want to stop at this point. That it has been a lot of monologue so far. There are some references that I have given you. Maybe you can check it out. I think the slides will be shared. If any of you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I have the email address and my LinkedIn profile ID as well as the QR code. And Rupali, would you like to play the video?
Sure, ma'am. I'll play that video.
And
The last,
stop sharing.
yeah, sure. Which video you want me to play? The Jeff Bezos one, or
Yes. First
okay,
that
sure.
one, and depending on the time, we will do the other one.
We have a little time constraint for the last video. Probably we can take
Okay,
it
I
faster.
thought so.
Okay.
I thought so.
Yes.
No worries.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't think we can hear the audio.
Yeah, I think there's an issue with the audio.
Is it audible now?
No.
Sorry. Sure. I'll play it from the beginning. Okay.
I think what we can do is we can share the link in the chat. It's just a couple of
Exactly.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No
we can
worries.
share the link in the chat. So, Sunanda ma'am, we have a couple of comments from our participants around women engagement. On the lines of
Mm-hmm.
women helping women, Jay
Mm-hmm.
has called it out saying that, in a male dominated workplace, women should now proclaim more spaces and women can help women. A mother should help her daughter to make a career in corporate and not to push her for marriage. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's made a very big point here. And I think what he's trying to share is women helping women perspective. And then
Absolutely.
we have Prashant, who says that accepting and coming forward for all open opportunities in project management is something that people can do.
Exactly.
Get
That's what
recognition.
I have been talking about. And talking about women helping women, I think that's a very valid point. It's not just about, a mom helping a daughter.
Mhm.
Uh, as a mother of two sons, I would say I also talk to my sons about, the expectations that they should have about maybe the girls that they are marrying. It's not just about that. It is important for us to build that awareness because, I mean, we do not have a different type of a brain or a different capability as a girl or a boy or a man and a woman. We are equally capable. It is just that we have to try a little harder. And I think that is where we as women should talk about these things to our children, could be daughter, could be son, about why it is harder for them and make opportunities for them. It is also about, like I said, having an understanding with your partner on what you expect from them in terms of support for the career. And the women supporting women part is where I have been talking about all my PMI Pearl City women that they have my back covered and they are great friends who keep helping me and in our organization as well because our COO is also a woman and we ensure that we give the needed lift and the policies that are to be in place to give opportunities to women. In fact, I want to again it's both embrace equity and women empowerment, all of those. So initially, when we were hiring for technical support roles, which was to be in the night shift because our parent company is in the US. So somebody, the recruitment person went and said that we are hiring, this position is open only for men. That's when our COO put her foot down and said, why are we deciding for the girls? Let them decide. Let's make it open for everyone. And if they want to, let's provide what is needed for them to grow in that role. And frankly, we have hired like 50% girls in for the technical support role. And I'm so proud to say that the girls have risen to a leadership role in the organization. They lead teams now. So if we had not, you know, taken that stand and said, let's hire them, they wouldn't have had the opportunity. And we are also bending the rules where needed because I know for a fact that most women drop out of the career after marriage thinking that is important, priorities change. So we try to, give opportunity, give them a little more flexibility, change some of the timings, or see how they can work from home, giving that flexibility. And we have actively talked to them when some of them said that I want to quit after marriage. We said, you put in hard work, think about it. And one of the girls, she said, no, 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 I have to quit. She quit. I spoke, and she still said, no, I want to do this decision and then take this decision and move. Then in about a month and a half, she came back and said, can I join back? So yes, we gave her the opportunity to join back because we know she's good and she can do it. It is just that sometimes there are mistakes that happen we do not know, and the girls are quite young. I'm talking about 24, 25, 26 kind of people. So it is important for women to help other women as well. We, as part of our Embrace Equity, we are having lean-in circles within the organization because it's important for us to share our experiences, learn from each other. Most often we think that we are different. My problem is so big and I'm the only one facing this problem. But no, that's not true. All of us go through these problems, and a lean-in circle or a group of women who are in a similar stage. So we are thinking of coming up with an early career, and one is the working mothers. Those are the two stages, because for us, the kind of demographic that we have is mostly they are 30 or under 30, the girls. So that's where the main challenge for them is either the early career or a working mother. So we want to share experiences, provide the support that is needed for them to grow in the organization as leaders. So yes, women helping women is something that is very, very important for us to grow this tribe of women project managers.
That's awesome, ma'am. We just have very little time left, so I'm going to take only one question, which is in the chat from Amit Patra. He says that he has joined IT at a PM level with experience as a PM before in non-technical projects. So he wants to keep moving forward on the business side, towards the business side. So what do you recommend? He does not have any IT background. Should he look for a program management professional certification or a risk management professional certification from PMI?
So, from a certification perspective, I would not recommend going into a very, the deeper side as a risk management. A program management would be preferable because that will give more exposure in handling multiple projects. But what is important is also to get more breadth of experience in terms of being a non-technical project manager. That is important for them to understand the overall business impact and understand the strategic direction of the organizations that are there. So focusing on those aspects would be a great help.
Thank you, ma'am. So I think in the interest of time, I'm going to hand over to Rupali and request her to take things forward. I do have a couple
Sure.
of announcements to make, but yeah, I'll let her go ahead first.
Thank you, Kirti.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing wonderful insights on women empowerment and your journey in the field of project management. Ma'am, it was so inspiring. I literally had goosebumps while listening to your experience and your passion for the profession and passion to give back to the community and society. So thank you once again for sharing your thoughts, and we are really inspired by your journey. Yeah. So
Thank
after
you.
listening to ma'am, we will surely now be in a better position to visualize our path towards success. And PMI Pune Deccan India chapter extends just a second, this certificate of appreciation to you for delivering the session on navigating career advancement and leadership. Uh, so thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, ma'am. And
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
thank you, ma'am. And in alignment with the International Women's Day theme, I would request you to share your thoughts on how you embraced equity.
Yeah. So already when I was speaking about women, covering women, helping women, I've spoken about it. So as part of the Embrace Equity, as a global organization, Dispatch Track has offices in LATAM region, US, Europe, as well as India. So when we thought about Embrace Equity, the first thing that we did is we got together and then said, what does it mean about women empowerment for each region? Because when we talk about Embrace Equity, the very phrase Embrace Equity means that you have to provide the resources and opportunities that are needed for them to get that access to what is needed for them. It is not about equality. If let's say we give everybody the same thing, it may not work. I'm sure all of you have seen that visual where there are three people standing on a pedestal at different heights, and you understand what equity means. Um, so that is how we also looked at it and said, if we are doing a same thing for everyone, does it work? Is it really going to be equitable? So we had a discussion, and then from an India perspective, like we've been talking about, it is family for women, the society norms and the kind of family responsibilities that come into picture on how we can empower them and grow in their career. Surprisingly, for LATAM region, uh, so they said safety is still a matter of concern for them. Luckily for us, uh, that has kind of gone in the IT industry, especially. There are a lot of women working in the night shift, and there is enough protection that is being given and measures. And we have embraced technology also very well to ensure the safety for women working in IT in the night. But we got to know that, the women could be mugged when they are going on the streets late in the night, and those are the kind of concerns that came up. So that's when we said we cannot do the same thing of, a particular thing. So then we thought about what is it that ties all of us together. So we were all women in tech working in this tech industry. So for the International Women's Day, we conducted a session where we talked about the different biases. And then we had a breakout session where people from different regions got together, and then they talked about their experiences in the organization. What kind of biases did they face? What worked for them? How can they, overcome these biases? So after this program, what we have decided to do in the organization is, for one, when we are doing the hiring, we make sure that we bring women at least to the interview stage for all the positions that we are hiring. Again, we don't believe in quotas because all of us are equally intelligent, and we give that opportunity for them to be interviewed. And when we are looking at the profiles, we tell the hiring managers to look at it as a profile, not about a woman or a man. And even we get profiles of women from career break. I, for one, am a strong believer in that they want to restart their career. They put in a lot more effort and they are much more involved in proving themselves. So I push for those candidates to ensure that they are given an opportunity to get back into a career. So they are much more responsible, more productive, and having that ability to prove themselves. So that's on the hiring side. And anyway, on the policy side, as an organization, we make sure that there is no discrimination, no harassment, We are even in while working virtually, we do regular check-ins. Our HR, we make it a point. I ask her to go and talk to everyone to make sure things are working well, because we never know in a virtual world what communication is going in a Slack channel or in a chat or conversation, how women are feeling, because we want to make it a safe place for people to work. That's something that is a priority for us. And we continue, like I said, we're going ahead with the lean in circles. And also we will have workshops so that it's not just about women. The men also need to have the awareness about what these biases are, because some of them are so very unconscious. And even when we talk about hikes, we make it a point to ensure that there is no discrimination in the pay, because there is a disparity in terms of the pay for men and women. That's another thing. Uh, we tend to, again, be shy of asking for what is really we are deserving. That's where I talked about the self-limiting beliefs and undermining ourselves. So we have to talk, we have to voice our opinion. I think women empowerment is all about making our voices heard and then raising that issue. So if there is something going on, somebody, having a bias or not giving the due worth, we ensure that that is taken care of. And one thing is for the Scrum Master role in our organization, it was good that we could hire all positions women, and they are very natural, like I said, the great organization skills, very good facilitators, and they have that empathy much needed to collaborate with the teams. So these are some of the things that we have started working on. And of course, it's a long journey, but I think embracing equity is really important for all of us. And I think the PMI community can do a lot. There are so many women leaders on the boards of PMI that can make it happen.
I agree with you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on Embrace Equity. And again, we would like to present you the certificate of appreciation for delivering session on Embrace Equity. And
Thank you.
yeah, now I would like to hand over to Kirti to share the chapter announcements. Over to you, Kirti.
Thank you, Rupali. I think few of my announcements have already been covered by Sunanda ma'am, but nonetheless, I'm going to go through them again. Uh, yeah, to begin with, we do have the PMBOK version 7, 7th edition available online for all of you all to access and leverage. Uh, we also have an opportunity for new speakers to come join us and share your thoughts around the topics that you could best present on. Feel free to please fill in the form. We will drop the link to this particular speaker nomination form in our chat, and you could sign up to be a speaker for our next upcoming events. Uh, for the PWL monthly seminars, we have the seminars on every Sunday, third Sunday of every month. So please look forward to the invites on LinkedIn in your calendar, and of course in the emails. Kindly sign up for those. As you saw, today's session was very insightful and inspiring. So happy to have you as a participant. As far as the mentorship program is concerned, I think I'm going to touch base on a few things that Sunanda ma'am said. Yeah, she herself has been a mentor. She's made a difference to the lives of other people. We saw her, journey, and which was very inspiring. So we also have an opportunity to mentor someone here and give back to the society that we have learned so much from. So in order to, keep fine tuning ourselves and continuously refine, all these points I've taken from Sunanda ma'am's session. So great, great connect out there. We need to not have these self-limiting beliefs, and in order to do that, I think mentoring is a very good opportunity. Also start volunteering with PMI. We have some links that we will be sharing in the upcoming slides. Feel free to join us and start your volunteering journey here. Kaustubh has already shared the mentorship link in the chat, so yeah, please be a guru, be a shishya. and imbibe the learn, teach, learn approach. As far as the the development trainings and workshops are concerned, we have them in the next slide. So I'm going to request Rupali to transition to the next slide. Okay, I think we have them in the in the slide after this one. So what we're going to do is basically one slide back, actually, Rupali. I think it's going ahead a little too fast. Yeah, pause. So what's in it for me? We can always look back and do things differently, as said by someone. And in order for us to learn more from these opportunities, these are the platforms for skill upgradation, networking, exploring the new avenues, uh, knowledge sharing by through mentoring, and presenting in such sessions, supporting each other, as we spoke about, not just women supporting women, men supporting women as well, and vice versa. We provide this platform as an opportunity to fail fast and learn faster, because as we saw the minimizing regret framework, it talks about doing things and failing, doing what you wanted to do and failing and learning from it rather than not doing it at all. So great platform out here. We ourselves, the core committee, as you saw in the previous slides, we've been associated with the chapter for 3 to 4 years now. So we've learned a lot. It's a trusted environment. Nobody's going to, say that, okay, you did this, you did that, so on and so forth. So you can feel free to share all your inputs in this platform. As I said, it's a great volunteering opportunity. Enough has been spoken about that. Being a guru, being a shishya, you learn while you teach and you teach while you learn. So it's a win-win for all. We grow definitely professionally and personally. This is a platform to showcase and improve your management skills as well. And definitely community contribution is something that goes without saying. And last but not the least, it's an opportunity to earn PDUs that you may need for your recertification. So with that, I'm going to request Rupali to transition to the next slide. Yeah, that's our PWL WhatsApp group. It's for women only. We have another group for the chapter members. So you could choose to join either the PWL women's only group or both. And for, the men out here, feel free to join the chapter member group if you are a chapter member. And if you want to, and if you're not a member, and if you want to take up the membership, you could also go ahead and get in touch with the chapter office. So Rupali, I'm going to request you to go one slide back where we have the code for the WhatsApp group for PWL only. So please take a photograph of this one and sign in whenever you can. And the next slide, that's for the mentorship program. Yeah, so we'll just wait for a few seconds here. Awesome. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah, this one talks about the upcoming workshops and for PMP and for portfolio management professional certification as well. Please sign up for them if you are interested in taking up the certification, and share it with your fellow members who you think may be interested in the same. For details on this, we also have a calendar on our website, so you could check out the events calendar as well. Great. So for any questions, suggestions, please, access our website, reach out to us on the email ID provided here, or contact the chapter on the number provided here. We also have we had a Signal group that, was active, but now we've transitioned to the WhatsApp groups. We still have the group active, but I would request you to join the WhatsApp group and not this one. We are active on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, as you see here. Please feel free to, like and follow the posts to get more engagement. Thank you so much. With this, I'll hand over to Rupali.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kirti, and thank you, Sunanda ma'am. And thank you, everyone, for being such a wonderful audience today. I really appreciate that you took time to be here with us today on Sunday morning. And stay tuned for our next upcoming event in the virtual series. Until then, do take care of yourself and your loved ones. This is Rupali, PMI PWL core team member, signing off for the day. Have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.